Panic and confusion have gripped officials at the Code of Conduct Bureau after records relating to Bola Tinubu's asset declaration suddenly disappeared from the storage facility that has held them for years. People's Gazette has learned, heralding the latest in desperate larcenies of incriminating documents that have been the lifeblood of Nigerian politics for decades. The disappearance could frustrate ongoing corruption investigation into Mr. Tinubu's assets by the Efcc, Nigeria's frontline anti-corruption outfit, which has apparently ignored the embattled politician's political ties to President Muhammadu Buhari. Three officials familiar with the matter told the Gazette that the Bureau started looking for Mr. Tinubu's asset filings after the EFCC requested copies of part of an ongoing investigation into the former Lagos governor's financial and material possessions. Several offices have been rummaged at the Bureau as officials scrambled to produce the document for EFCC's use, all to a dead end. We have searched for the case file everywhere because we want to comply with the lawful request made by the EFCC, a top management official at the Bureau told the Gazette. We have not been able to find the document either at the main head office or the annex office in Asokoro. Another official who interacted with one of the mid-level staffers tasked with finding the documents told the Gazette the matter had become terribly embarrassing and a cause for unending worry at the Bureau, which is the primary anti-corruption agency in charge of collecting and keep assets of scheduled government officials before and after assumption of office. We cannot find the asset documents at all, the official said. We cannot even find photocopies that we can certify for the EFCC. Mr. Tinubu was the governor of Lagos from 1999 to 2007. Officials said he declared his assets when he assumed office and when he concluded his second term in May 2007. Anti-graft agencies had previously investigated and charged Mr. Tinubu on the basis of the document in 2011, but the Code of Conduct Tribunal, which primarily hears cases brought by the Bureau, dismissed the matter on technical grounds, leaving the merits of the case floating for nearly a decade. No further charges had been preferred against the ruling party chief ever since. But as he prepares to seek Nigeria's presidency in 2023, anti-corruption officials told the Gazette they are now convinced by the institution memory that Mr. Tinubu's assets feelings were incriminating and must revisit the matter to prevent another rogue from assuming power in a country still reeling from decades of infamy. His asset declaration form will not be the only reason for us to arrest and charge him, an EFCC official said under anonymity over the weekend. But our detectives and lawyers working on the case said it is likely to be seriously incriminating. Both CCB and EFCC officials who spoke with the Gazette for this story urged strict protection of their identities, citing especially their active engagement status and a lack of clearance to speak to journalists on a matter still under investigation. The officials' personnel details have been withheld in accordance with the Gazette policy on anonymous sources. A spokesman for the CCB did not return a request seeking comments on the missing files. An EFCC spokesman also declined comments, although the EFCC has yet to escalate the disappearance of Mr. Tinubu's assets filing to the presidency. Concerns have nonetheless been flaring amongst top officials of the CCB, an official said. Of the CCB, yes, this being said by an official. While some officials believe the document might have been stolen by an intruder, others blame an inside job for the development, citing its security. Tinubu's file is one of the VVIP files that is kept with either the chairman or someone he trusts immensely, an official said. So claiming that it was stolen from an outsider at the time the EFCC is requesting for it is just so convenient. The official said an internal investigation has yet to commence about the disappearance, but the EFCC might be forced to report the CCB, which is a department under the Federal Cabinet Secretary's office. We don't know how many palms have been oiled to make a sensitive document disappeared from our vault, the CCB chief said. We are not going to blame Tinubu for it because he did not come here to snatch it from us. Some people were used. The FCC first wrote to the CCB requesting Mr. Tinubu's asset declaration details in September according to a letter obtained by the Gazette and published last week, but the anti-graft agency was forced to repeat the request when the Asset Fraud Office could not produce Mr. Tinubu's case file. Since then, the CCB has not been able to comply with EFCC's request, effectively stalling the case, according to officials at CCB and EFCC. Still, anti-graft officials said they are treating the file drama more as a temporary setback for concerned agencies than a day of reckoning averted for Mr. Tinubu himself. He said, "We take all corruption cases very seriously," an official said, "so we will find a way out to every setback that we are likely to encounter before the prosecution stage." Anti-graft officials also emphasized to the Gazette that Mr. Tinubu's asset filing, which, while potentially incriminating enough, will not be the only ground for his arraignment, which they said Mr. Buhari has not commented on despite Mr. Tinubu's attempts to quash the matter. "We have other petitions bordering on his corruption," an official said. "We are proceeding with every lead we have because we have not heard anything from the presidency to the contrary. The president has powers to stop a criminal trial as all law enforcement institutions are under his absolute control." But a presidency official said Mr. Buhari might be reluctant to wade in to the matter because of the weighty allegations against Mr. Tinubu. The president still respects Asiwaju Tinubu as a strong ally, the official said under anonymity. But the allegations against him are weighty, and if they are not thrashed out now, another government may eventually be forced to do so in future. Although no official memo has been circulated in respect to the charges against Mr. Tinubu, there are strong indications that his infamous bullion vans on the eve of 2019 elections and his involvement in the movement of suspicious funds from Lagos Treasury into Alpha Beta Consulting might be his undoing. You can imagine. So, invariably, in a nutshell, the file is missing. I believe this guy has paid for the files to disappear. There's nothing impossible in this cow country as long as money is involved. Well, who no fear Tinubu as grandmaster of corruption? We have nothing to fear. If this man rule Nigeria, he will loot this country dry with no trace left to catch him. Very skillful in stealing. Obviously, an insider with the CCB has been paid to remove these files, which by now would have been incinerated. But these criminals conveniently have forgotten that there is God upstairs that watches everyone. Well, no cause for alarm. The file will soon reappear after it has been doctored. I trust Bola Tinubu. See the power of powerful and criminally ultra-rich monster is like the mafia. It won't spare any effort to stay afloat. There's no amount of money that it can't spend to buy justice or freedom. So guys, let's hear your opinion on this matter.